Hello, my name is Gary Koniz, and I'm running as an independent candidate in the 4th District for the U.S. House of Representatives. And I'm going to Washington essentially to establish a fair rate of pay for our workers here in the United States. I'm an independent Workers' Party candidate, and I'm going to secure a cost of living wage for every worker in the United States. And I'm also going to secure a prevailing wage for the other workers according to their livelihoods, based to the government's general schedule salary rates. That's my plan of action. And that's going to take care of the workers who are now unable to survive the cost of living and to pay their health care insurance. And I'm also going to initiate what is called a full faith certificate issued from the Federal Reserve to replace the government's borrowing structure. And this is a perfectly legitimate way to do business. It's not going to establish anything in a negative way against our economy, and it's going to enhance the economy by providing employment and subsidies for education, agriculture, disaster relief, and other issues where the government's deficit is falling short of the necessary needs to meet our payrolls, our government payrolls. We have essentially issues to resolve here in our government based to the government's supplying needs to the public. And if these needs aren't met, the government's going to fall apart. Supply and demand economics is not meeting this criteria. Everything depends on us establishing a good cost of living for the workers and to maintain our government payrolls and other subsidies. This, I feel, is essential. We're also going to eliminate the Obamacare health care, which the public cannot afford, and replace it with a government's deducted national health care plan, which is based upon the cost of each worker's ability to pay, and it's structured all the way up. And we're also going to regulate the essentials to the cost of living. This is going to be done by a ruthless regulation of the essentials that we need to survive. And I feel that with this plan in mind and with myself leading at the helm of this endeavor, we will pull this nation back together again.
What ideas do you have to help save America from financial crisis, since the Congress has been continually increasing the debt limit without reducing spending?
Well, the plan here is to eliminate the idea of borrowing money, which I feel is a conspiracy with the lending institutions, and to replace it with full faith certificate fiat issue on demand to meet all budgetary shortfalls. This we can do it, and the government can absorb, I feel, 1/4 of its annual budgetary needs based on full faith certificate. This way we can eliminate the national debt and provide for the much needed services that we need to maintain our government. We just can't do without services. Supply and demand taxation is falling short. We're not able to keep up, and as we can't keep up, we can't supply the police with their law enforcement, we can't provide security, we can't provide the necessary disaster reliefs that we need, and everything else is just crumbling underneath, and by the time we get there, the country will be bankrupt, and all the people will be suffering, as they are now. You have no idea what it's like for people not to have money to go to the dentist, to have toothaches that they can't fix, not to be able to go to the doctor. This Obamacare, the deductibles on this Obamacare are $1,500 by the time a person can't pay for that. And they can't pay for their operations or anything because the government only pays 80%, and the other 20% is left to bankrupt them. So unless we come to terms with this as a society here that we need to live in together as a people, we are never going to survive. Essentially, the United States is going to break up, it's going to fall apart, and we're not going to be a people here that cares for its citizens. So that's what I want to do, and I feel that I have the forceful impression to make upon the legislature to do this job.
While other nations are becoming militarily stronger, America has become weaker with our defense continually reduced. What economically sound strategy do you propose to rebuild America into a strong nation again?
Well, the issue is the military-industrial complex continually needs to stay in production. So these wars just generate production of the military-industrial complex. We essentially don't need to go to war every time there's something that happens here. We have a different structure. We need to provide for our defense, but we provide for it with this full faith certificate, as I said. If we can't provide for it, whether legitimate taxation means based on the gross national product, supply and demand taxation. So I propose we don't have anything to do with weakness. Whatever we need, we'll produce. That's the nature of this plan.
Illegal immigration of both terrorists and the poverty-stricken is a serious problem that the government has failed to solve. Briefly describe what ideas you propose that will help solve this financial and security crisis.
The government needs to take strong action against any illegal aliens and put them somewhere in a displaced persons camps, the same as all these other people that are piling up on the borders of Turkey and other nations, just to take care of them until they're able to be repatriated back to their homelands. We cannot sustain an invasion of illegal immigrants to essentially take our jobs away at inferior rates of pay and replace us to the workforce. What are we going to make slaves out of these people? What are they going to do here? We have to educate them. We have to provide for their welfare financially, for their health, and there's no way that we can possibly do it within realistic terms. So the military needs to round them up, and round them up along with all the other illegal drugs that are coming into this country that are destroying our youth, and put everybody in a proper place and return America to American soil, American sovereignty.
The Affordable Health Care Act is not what was promised to Americans. What should be done about this act?
As I indicated for you before, the health care in this country needs to be provided for by everybody getting on the federal income tax deducted plan. Everybody gets what essentially a Medicare card, and that is what they will pay their health care with. And the issue of health care costing too much, that needs to come down. We need to firmly regulate the hospitals and the medical pharmaceutical industry so that people can afford to go and visit the doctors and take medicine. So the Obamacare is not functioning. I propose don't call it social medicine, socialized medicine. It's just the American way. Everybody gets a health care card and they go to the doctor and they get their needs taken care of, and the doctors accept what we're going to pay them based on their application for a license to practice medicine here in the United States. So if they don't, they need to accept the terms that we need to agree upon so that they can provide low cost or reasonable cost health care to the people. This business of every laissez-faire, free-for-all economics is coming to an end. And we need to forcefully put it to an end so that everybody has a fair chance to survive here.
Do you support or oppose the Second Amendment, and why?
I support the Second Amendment up to a certain point. I don't feel that we need to have guns and tanks available to the population. That includes assault rifles. I don't see any need for any assault rifles. The right to keep and bear arms, to have an organized militia, golly, that's just feeding the fires, asking for disaster. I mean, seriously, things could go seriously wrong with a concept like that. So I support up to a reasonable amount of guns, and other than that, I'm not in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any closing remarks?
I do have a closing remark that we all need to go to Washington together as a body politic. We need to organize our representation so that everyone will have a meaningful voice in the government. The government is not working as it stands, and we need to make it work. And we can make it work with a forceful presentation. I have a background degree in journalism. For the last 40 years, I've been a major journalist. I've worked with Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan for 10 years as his press aide in Buffalo, New York. I'm fully aware of all the necessary things that need to be done to get things done. And that's my job. I'm not just a journalist that reports the news. I'm a journalist that goes and solves a problem and then writes about that. And I'm also have a heavy background in construction. And so I'm very versatile and aware of the trades unions and their necessity to survive here. And what I feel most of all is most important to America, to unify the people here, is that everybody be provided with a chance to survive, a fair chance to live. And that's my goal. This is not a ruthless society. It's a society of caring regard for its people with high standards, high moral standards. And let's firmly resolve to do this together.